This is a SnapEd New York video presentation.
Hey there, my name is Christina, and I'm a nutrition educator for the SNAP Education and Obesity Prevention Program at Cornell Cooperative Extension of Erie County. My job is to teach you things like how to choose healthy foods, budget, and how to prepare healthy meals. Today, I'll be showing you how to turn those delicious summer beets into a tasty, hearty salad. Before we begin, I'd like to present to you the My Plate. This is the My Plate, and it represents the 5 food groups we should be aiming to include in our diets each and every day. You'll notice that half of the plate is covered by 2 sections, fruits and vegetables. You should aim to make half your plate fruits and vegetables, and to vary your veggies. We want to aim to have a variety of colors when we're choosing fruits and vegetables, because the more color we have, the more likely we're going to be getting more of a variety of vitamins and minerals in our diets in order to make our bodies function most efficiently. Alright, now that we have that under our belts, it's time to dive into today's food demonstration. I've chosen to make a beet and white bean salad. This recipe can be found on the USDA's Choose My Plate website at www.choosemyplate.gov. This recipe I'm using actually calls for a can of whole beets, but I'll be showing you how you can use your fresh beets. Canned beets can be used as a great alternative to fresh beets, as a time saver if you're in a time crunch, and as a money saver, as canned beets can be found for about 65 cents a can. Canned vegetables tend to get a bad rap for not being as nutritious, but I'm here to tell you that that's just not true. Canned vegetables are just as healthy as fresh or frozen. The only thing is that you have to look at the salt content, since salt is commonly added to foods as a preservative. You can choose to purchase low sodium or no salt added canned foods, or you can reduce the amount of salt by rinsing the regular old can under cold running water in a strainer or a colander. This usually reduces the salt by about half. For today's recipe, I'll be using a bunch of fresh beets, a 15-ounce can of cannellini beans, about a half a cup of reduced fat crumbled blue cheese, about a half a cup of chopped walnuts, and about a handful or 2 of spring mixed lettuce. To make the dressing, I've already combined 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, a tablespoon of Dijon mustard, a half a teaspoon of sugar, a 1/4 cup of olive oil, and I added salt and pepper to taste. I simply added all these ingredients to a mason jar and shook it until it was well combined. This is also a fun way to get kids involved in the kitchen. For today's recipe, I've chosen to roast my beets, but they're perfectly fine to eat raw as well. Fresh beets are available year-round and might be less expensive and fresher from July through October. When storing beets, you want to be sure to remove the leaves and leaving about 1 inch of the stem. The roots or the bottom of the beets are best stored in a plastic bag in the refrigerator and will keep for about 3 weeks. The greens or tops of the beets are also edible and can be used in a salad as greens, or they can be cooked and sauteed. Be sure to always wash all of your produce thoroughly before eating or cooking. The best way to do this is to run it under cold water and use a vegetable scrubber to get off any of that excess dirt. Don't forget, beets grow underground the soil, just like potatoes, so they tend to have more dirt on them, even if you can't visibly see it. It's also just as important to wash our hands for at least 20 seconds before we eat or handle any food. Once your hands and your beets are completely washed, you'll want to trim the ends of your beets off before you wrap them in foil. You'll also want to be sure that your beets are about the same size so they'll cook evenly. As you can see, I've already trimmed off the bottom and the top of this beet. So I'm going to continue chopping off both the tops and bottoms of my beets, and then I'll get them wrapped up in the foil. Again, you can keep those tops if you'd like to place them in a salad, or you can saute them at a later time. Just keep them stored in the fridge. So I'm just gonna take the last beet. You just wanna be careful because this beet is very mobile right now, so it's very dangerous. You just wanna use your claw hand, hold it in place, use your other hand with your pointer finger and your thumb supporting the base of the knife, and you just wanna cut into that hardy beet, cutting off both the top and the bottom. Place the trimmed beets in enough foil to cover them completely. At this point, you're more than welcome to keep them plain, or you can drizzle a little olive oil and sprinkle them with a little salt and pepper, which is what I'm going to do now. And then you want to close these up so that they're nice and tight. And so all that olive oil and salt and pepper will stay in there while they cook in the oven. I just wanted to point out that it's healthier for our bodies, especially our hearts, to use oils like canola, olive, and others instead of solid fats like butter and stick margarine, shortening, lard, or coconut oil. Now we're going to place these beets on a baking sheet, and I'm going to place them in a preheated 400-degree oven for about 45 minutes to an hour, depending on their size, just to make sure that the beets are completely cooked. You can pierce them with a knife or a fork, and if it goes in nice and evenly and easily, then you know that they are cooked. Now that our beets are completely cooled, we can cut them up for our salad. Feel free to slice them any way you prefer. For this salad, I'm going to be chopping them up into medium-sized chunks. Here I have a wooden cutting board that's nice with rubber grips on the bottom to keep it from moving while I'm cutting. If your cutting board doesn't have a lot of grip, you can dampen a towel and place it underneath your cutting board to prevent it from sliding and slipping all over. In this case, it doesn't really work for me because I already have the grips on the bottom. Remember, a cutting board that moves while we're cutting anything is dangerous. Another important thing to note is that you want to be sure your knife is nice and sharp. A dull knife is a dangerous knife because it causes you to use more unnecessary force when cutting, making it more likely that you'll cut yourself. Knife sharpeners are fairly inexpensive and a great investment, especially if it reduces the amount of band-aids you'll be using. To cut the beets, I'll be using what is called a chef's knife. Feel free to use whatever knife you're most comfortable with, just make sure it's nice and sharp. Now, just to chop up these beets into medium-sized chunks, I'm gonna just take the beet and slice it in half, using my tunnel so that I'm not going to cut my fingers off. So now I'm going to work with a flat surface. A flat surface helps keep it from moving, and it helps keep my fingers safe from getting cut. And then all I'm going to do is use my tunnel again, make a couple of slices in this direction. I'm going to move this one out of the way. And then I'm just going to go ahead and use my claw and chunk up the rest of this beet. Again, you can cut it any way you like. This is just how I want to cut it. Now I'm going to finish cutting up the rest of the beets, and I'll finish off my salad. Now, just to finish off my salad with our nice roasted beets, I'm going ahead and just sprinkle some of these roasted beets on top. And you can add as much as or as little as you like. That looks nice. All that's left to do is drizzle on our dressing. And here we have our finished salad. Be sure to store any leftovers in the refrigerator within 2 hours. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and remember, make half your plate full of fruits and vegetables.
Thank you for joining us today. We know the healthy choice isn't always the easiest choice, but small changes can make a big difference. Start today by getting involved with SNAP Ed New York. This program is free for those who qualify or receive SNAP benefits. We want to help you save time, save money, and eat healthy. Learn how SNAP Ed can make a difference in your life. For more information and to find your local program, visit snapedny.org. This material is funded by USDA's Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. SNAP. This institution is an equal opportunity provider.